Hello and welcome to another round of Championship Diction from the Oz Football Podcast. I'm Craig Surgeon. With me as always is Mr. Daniel Cody. Matchday 9's fixtures in the Championship were postponed along with the rest of football following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. May she rest in peace. Whether the games were rightly or wrongly postponed, the decision's been made by the FA, the Premier League, the EFL. We have to respect that decision and we'll move on to hopefully some new fixtures in the meantime. Hopefully these games are on from this midweek's action, and we're going to start off with the first game. It's Blackburn versus Watford. I can't really say about how these two teams got on because they both didn't play.
Well, you mentioned it, the fixtures that would have been at the weekend. It's back to last season's Blackburn, isn't it? It's inconsistent. It's a 1-0 win here, a 1-0 defeat there, and then a thriller that they ended up on the wrong side of against Bristol City. Watford's haven't been convincing either. Yes, they've picked up a few results, and they struggled against Rotherham to get over the line. Considering they kept two of the three attacking stars, they've not been in full flow just yet. So it makes it a tough game. And obviously, we don't know at this point who the rest is going to benefit more in terms of each team. That's going to be the big issue this midweek. For me, based on Blackburn's recent defensive form, bar the Blackpool game, I have to go for Watford to edge it. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Watford. But I could easily see this going the other way because it's one of the most unpredictable ones of the week.
Yeah, this one could be either a really good game or actually ball fest, to be honest. Blackburn, yeah, shades of Tony Mowbray last season. Watford haven't really set the weather light for me personally, about the biasness of supporting the team just further up the road. We've got that front three, it's there, and behind it's not too bad. They recruited actually quite well, but it still hadn't really clicked. So I'm going to give this a low-scoring game in this one. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Watford. Next up is Huddersfield versus Wigan. These two sides, you could probably say it's a relegation six-pointer, but Wigan will probably go into that game with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we talked about them taking advantage of the gifts from Luton in the last game. They've had a really solid start to the season. If you take out the 5-1 at Burnley, every game they've been in it. It's been either a draw, a one-goal defeat, a one-goal victory. They've competed really well. They've maybe not got the big attacking threat that someone like Sunderland coming up have got with Ross Stewart, although he's out injured now anyway. But they're a really compact side. They defend pretty well for the most part, and they'll pick up a lot of odd points. They've only lost one game in 7. You've got to give them huge credit for that. And they're playing against the Huddersfield side, who are a bit of a mess at the minute. I mean, we talked about it pre-season. I thought they'd be right down there, and they're further down than I thought they'd be at the minute. They've been in poor form. They've not won in 4. They've let in 7 goals, and they haven't scored in their last 2. So for me, looking at the way Wigan played at Luton, if they can stay in the game, they'll nick it. I'm going to go for the ball fest that you went for in the first game. I'm going to go for a gritty away, the perfect away win, a 1-0 for Wigan Athletic.
I'm going to go for Wigan to win 2-1, same scoreline as they did last time out in their last away game. Yeah, I think Wigan have been fine. A good return back to the Championship. I don't think anyone expected Wigan to be having that many points so far, and you have to give them credit. It seems a bit sturdy. Yeah, they could have been outside last game, but they held on and got their way back into the game. A little bit of luck, but they won the game, so you have to give them credit. Huddersfield, yeah, it's what we all kind of expected once from the summer. Obviously, best players go, the manager goes, kind of what you expect at the moment. So they need this victory more than obviously than Wigan do. So they need to get us that sort of run, especially with the international break coming up. You don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to go Wigan to win by 2-1. Right, next up, Hull versus Stoke. Hull fine so far. Stoke still trying to find out what Alex Neil was doing.
Yeah, it's a slow start for start. I mean, you mentioned it with the Reading game. No manager can legislate for that in the first minute. It's one of those things, isn't it? Hull have had a couple of tougher games on paper, but generally they've been very good at home and they've been very good against the sort of sides we'd maybe expect to be outside the top 10 this year. Sheffield United, you're not going to be judged on losing that home game. They are runaway leaders for me. So for me at home, Hull, despite a couple of key injuries, despite a couple of players just creeping out of form after a good start, I think they do go into this as slight favourites. I think Alex Neil, probably one of the managers that's going to benefit the most from having the week off, the chance to train more with these players, the chance to get his ideas in. I think that's the biggest benefit for Stoke and probably Sunderland as well later on, is that these managers are going to be able to spend time on their tactical plans. So That's the only thing that's making me think Stoke might get something. I really want to go for a whole win, but I'm going to sit on the fence. It got me all the perfect scores last week. I'm going Championship's favourite scoreline, 1-1.
No, I think this could be another win for Hull. Hull, I know they lost last time against Sheffield United at home, but I think they're quite strong at home. So I've been quite impressed with them. Stoke, I'm going to give Alex Neil a little bit of leeway so far. Obviously, as you said, benefiting not having the game this weekend. It gives them another few more days to iron out some few things. So, but I think it's not enough, especially Hull at the moment. I'm going to go Hull to win by 2-1. Right, Middlesbrough versus Cardiff. Middlesbrough much needed win last time out, get some a little bit up the table. Cardiff, despite their okay start, it's starting to get a bit poor.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of an understatement, to be fair. 1 goal in 5 games, which obviously was a late thunderbolt against Luton. They've let in 2 goals in 3 of their last 4 games. They've lost some of that defensive grit, and they never really had a huge goal threat. And we even mentioned it when they were winning those games at the start of the season. They were gritting out 1-0s in nothing games. And if you don't take those chances, it can go wrong very quickly. Middlesbrough, as you mentioned, back-to-back home wins. Not hugely convincing against Swansea, but a bit better against Sunderland without scoring the goals. We know that the front line was going to be a problem, but the crucial thing for Borough was a first clean sheet. They've been waiting so long for it. We were so surprised by their defensive form. So to see them keeping a clean sheet was important. For me, it's must win for Borough, and I think it will be comfortable. The goals will start flowing. I don't often go for teams to score more than 2 this season, but Borough are going to win this by 3-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to Borough. I think only Chris Wilder probably put a little bit of pressure on themselves rather than anyone from the outside. I think everyone outside has gone a bit quiet. It's like, why Middlesbrough struggling? Why they're down there? So he's probably got away with it a little bit, in my opinion. But good win last time out, and I think they're going to win again. So I'm going to go for 2-0 victory for Borough. Right, Swansea versus Sheffield United. Swansea have been Swansea as Swansea can be, and Sheffield United, for me at the moment, is the best team in the league so far.
Yeah, I'm so glad based on what I've seen so far that I predicted them to win the league, and I have no doubt about it from what I've seen. Crucial that they've managed to keep hold of Sander Berger as well by the looks of it, which is going to make a big difference from them now till January. And Swansea, as you say, I mean, what do you do? The bookend of their last 6 games are both 1-0 victories, couple of score draws in between that, and then 2 defeats in the middle. It's classic Swansea. I know they kept a clean sheet last game, but history would tell you under Russell Martin, not going to happen twice in a row. Are the little links with him and Brighton going to have an effect? I mean, why he's getting linked with a Premier League job, it astounds me. Nothing against him, but for me, he's not earned his stripes in the Championship yet. So I wonder if that will have an effect. But either way, the safe money, Sheffield United. I know they're letting a goal away from home against Luton. And to be fair, they have let in some goals on the road. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Sheffield United just because they haven't kept clean sheets on the road.
I'm going 3-0 to Sheffield United. I think the way that Sheffield United play, I think they can easily press on Swansea making mistakes at the back.
Yeah.
And now that McBurney's now scoring 3-3 now for him, which is obviously a great return. And they just need that. They just need Brewster to get onto the score sheet, and then it might be all right. I know Billy Sharp's out injured at the moment, but to have McBurney scoring is more than ideal for Sheffield United at the moment. And they can pick players that easily. It's not just McBurney can score goals. You know, Sander Berger can easily score a goal. You can get Norwich will be up there, and they've got enough in the tank for me. And if Swansea can see early, you can see Sheffield United really ramping away. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory for the Blades. Right, big game. Preston versus Burnley, a real Lancashire derby that is. Basically, this has got a draw written all over it.
Well, you might think so. I don't think it has, to be honest, because Preston haven't got a goal threat. They've scored 2 goals all season, and it's nicked them 1-0 wins. They haven't won a home game. They haven't scored a home goal. And Burnley, I know the West Brom game, West Brom were the better side, but generally, they've created chances galore on the road. We saw at Huddersfield on the opening day. We saw it the 5-1 at Wigan, even in the cup game against Shrewsbury. They are ruthless on the counter away from home. My only question here is this going to turn into a game where Preston play like they would on the road and sit 10 behind the ball and time waste from the start and then wait for that moment to counter and try and nick a goal from across as they have in previous games? That's my only concern. It's one of those again. If Burnley score the first goal and they score it in the first half, I think Preston's defensive record could get obliterated. And yes, it was remarkable for 7 games, but if Burnley score early, they win comfortably. I'm going to go first time Preston concede 2-0 to Burnley.
I think Burnley will win this game, I'll be honest.
But it's got a draw written all over it.
It's got a draw written all over it. So if it comes back to draw, I'll be extremely annoyed. Burnley have a lot more threats going forward. They're starting to click a little bit on the company. Oh, you said 2-0. Perfect score. I'm going to go 1-0 to Burnley. Right, moving on to Wednesday, Luton Town versus Coventry. Luton obviously lost last time out. Mixed start from them. Coventry haven't got going at all for other postponements. Another game Coventry had now got postponed. It's definitely beyond their control. This is not going to be a repeat of 5-0 last year.
No. It's the one thing that's conflicting me here because Luton, look, they haven't won a home game yet this season. They were good against Sheffield United. They threw away the game against Wigan due to poor tactical changes, which have been admitted by the manager. Again, Nathan Jones has been loosely linked with Brighton. We've got different opinions on that.
He ain't going.
We'll wait and see.
He's sixth favourite now.
Good. Coventry have been awful in the games they've played. They drew on the opening day. Of course, it was a Gilkera screamer in a game they were soundly outplayed for the most part. And since then, conceded 4 in the cup, 3 in 4 of the 3 league games since. And you mentioned something crucial. They're going to have a lot of games to catch up. And we saw it with Rotherham the season they went down with COVID outbreaks and that, and they just ended up playing 3 times a week and it got ridiculous. And with the World Cup schedule, unless they basically throw the FA Cup in the 3rd round and hope the teams they've got games in hand with go out as well, Coventry are going to have a similar problem. So I'm a little bit concerned from their point of view. I don't think it'll be a repeat of 5-0. And everything's telling me not to go for a Luton win purely just due to superstition at this point. But I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for 3-1 for Luton. And I think Coventry's woes will continue. Without having home games and the chance to rectify their home form, I think Coventry are going to have a struggle. And losing a home game was a disaster for them.
Yeah, I'm going Luton to win by 2-1. Their performances have only had one real bad performance, Luton, and that was the Bristol City one. But they've been in the game. It's just fine moments, I think, with Luton. Just could not get so. Well, you could say ruthless, but it's just getting over the line at times. The 2 wins they have got, the Swansea and the Welsh ones, they got over the line convincingly. Really, I know you can see late on against Cardiff, but they're done anyway. But at the moment, lately, Luton's clean sheets at home is just, there's only 1 clean sheet at home, so that needs to improve. Do I see that improving this week on Wednesday? No, I don't. But I think Luton will still win the game, so I'm going to go Luton to win by 2-1. Right, London derby. Millwall versus QPR. East meets West. Mill really dropped in form, and QPR a bit mixed.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect from QPR. They were brilliant on the road at Watford and put up a great fight against a team expected to be up there. They were pretty dismal at Swansea. They were average at Sunderland and relied on a late goalkeeper. They're a mixed bag. They're inconsistent at the moment. And Millwall, as you said, they got the much needed win against Cardiff, but prior to that had been really poor. I just wonder if that was the turning point for them because it was a very Millwall-like performance, what we got used to last season. And given QPR's inconsistency on the road and the fact that last time they were involved in a poor run of form, it went on for 2 or 3 games. I'm just going to go for Millwall to nick it. It should be probably the most raucous atmosphere you'll get at the Den all season. And I would imagine that will take them over the line. So I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll be a decent game, but Millwall are just back to have the physical edge.
No, I'm going to go for first time in his predictions. I'm going to go for Championship's favourite scoreline at 1-1. I have not much to say, but it's these 2 sides. Millwall, obviously, they need that win. They got that win. QPR, the victories they've had have been quite impressive, but then the defeats they've had have been pretty bad. But I'm going 1-1 in this game. Right, Norwich versus Bristol City. Norwich are finding their feet now, obviously up to 2nd in the Championship. Point behind Sheffield United and Bristol City in 4th. Probably surprising a few.
Yeah, and both teams are in very good form. We know that. 6 without defeat, and both of them starting to look very convincing going forward. The issue is the difference between these 2 teams is the defensive record. And Bristol City in the last few games, whilst getting results 3 conceded against Blackpool, 2 conceded against Blackburn, and then 3 clean sheets. You just don't know what to expect. But on the road, generally they're letting in goals. Those were the 2 away games in their last 5 league ones. Norwich at home, it's 2-0s, it's 2-1s. It's exactly what we've come to expect from Norwich. 3-0 out last time against Coventry. I think it's going to be a close game, but just because their defensive record is slightly better in recent weeks, I'm going to go for Norwich to nick it by 2-1. But Bristol City have had a fabulous start, and going forward, one of the best sides in the Championship this year.
Norwich to win 3-1 for me. I think this is where Bristol City's test will really happen. So in Norwich's front three, they're starting to gel now, the click. Now it's starting to really click for Dean Smith. If they can pounce Bristol City defensive mistakes, they can do that. But I think they'll win this game by 3-1. Right, Rotherham versus Blackpool. These 2 sides are actually doing fine. I've actually got no complaints about these 2 sides.
No, it's been a pleasant start for both of them. I know we mentioned Blackpool's last result was incredibly fortuitous due to a failing of technology, but they still got the result. And to be fair to them, they have largely stayed in games this season. It's been 1-0s either way, and then a couple of crazy 3-0s in the middle. For Rotherham, really gritty. And I mentioned it last week. The Watford game was a big one for me because they picked up a result against a side that's expected to be right up there. At home, they've been incredibly solid this season. The only question I have is at the start of the season, while everyone else is settling in, can they turn a few of those draws into wins? And I feel like if they want to be comfortable in the Championship and to survive, because don't forget, for all the brilliance at the start, they're only 2 points clear of the relegation zone, so we can't get too excited. I still think that they can nick this game because Blackpool, they haven't convinced me. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to Rotherham. It's one of the hardest games to predict of the week for me. It's almost impossible. I don't know which way to go, but on an instinct, I'm going for Rotherham to nick it by 1.
I can't decide these 2 teams. I really can't.
So
it's very hard. So that's why Championship's very scoreline of 1-1's coming in. No, I've been really impressed with both sides. Really impressed. Blackpool, for all their might, we'll probably say they'll be down there, but they're holding their own, and you got to give Michael Abbott a bit of credit. And Rotherham, great return back to the Championship, 13th in the table, but they're not losing games. They're drawing them. So that's the really pleasing thing. So they find this teams are finding it tough, and you have to give football a lot of credit. And I can't pick between these 2 teams, so I'm going to go 1-1. Right, Reading versus Sunderland. Reading surprising a lot, at most surprising team so far. And Sunderland, despite the managerial change, all right, first defeat for Tony Mowbray, but they're still doing okay.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely fine start for Sunderland. The big issue, Ross Stewart out for a couple of months, same for Dennis Cirk into the new year. They're starting to lose important players, and Ross Stewart is the majority of their goal threat. I think Tony Mowbray will find a way around it, and I still think at home they'll pick up a lot of points. But Reading are basically invincible at home, and who thought we'd be saying that a year or so ago? Paul Ince has done a wonderful job there. Another win against Stoke, albeit it wasn't. It was put on a plate, wasn't it? It was a gift for them. But I think this game's going to be a thriller. There's something about it which makes me think Sunderland are going to find a threat because Reading have been mixed at the back despite the addition of Naby Sarr. So despite Sunderland losing Ross Stewart, I'm going to go for 2-2, and I have yet again no logic to back that up.
I think Sunderland might nick it. Might nick it by 2-1. I've got not much to say about these 2 sides. Reading doing a lot, really well.
Yeah.
This could be a Tony Mowbray classic. But I think Sunderland will nick it by 2-1. And the final game is a West Midlands derby. It is West Brom versus Birmingham. West Brom, a lot of draws. Currently down in 16th. 1 win, 1 defeat, but 6 draws. Birmingham, that was a much needed win last time out. And sitting just above the relegation zone by a goal.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen how Birmingham play away from home. We saw them at Luton on the opening day play for a 0-0. They did that at Preston and then managed to nick a goal as well. They've not had the best start, despite the fact they've been more compact than I expected them to be. What I worry about here, with this being a bit of a West Midlands derby, is West Brom. I've mentioned it before. They've played so well in some of those games. The Burnley game now are magnificent, but they just haven't taken chances. I'm pretty sure it will have been 10 days of relentless finishing training. So I would imagine that West Brom are going to come out and have the game like they did against Hull. I think when it clicks, West Brom fly up the league. And if they can do it in a game like this, it will be even better. I'm going to go for West Brom to win. I'm going to finish big Because if they concede, Birmingham have to come out 3-0 West Brom.
I'm going 1-1. West Brom easily capable of conceding a goal, but it's once against a derby, and I've not been impressed with either side at all. But it's a derby, so 1-1. Let's have a quick recap what we predicted for match day 10 in the Championship. I've gone for a couple of 1-1 draws near the end, especially on Wednesday, 3-1-1 draws. Cody thinks that West Brom will battle Birmingham in their derby, and Luton beat Coventry with 3 goals as well. And those are predictions for match day 10 in the Championship. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give us your predictions for this week's action. Don't forget, like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at HonestFootball3. We'll see you next time.